In today's video, I am going to be upgrading my tail lights on my Tesla Model 3 with Eagle Eye tail lights from Hansshow. In addition to providing a cooler look, these lights are super bright, are more visible, and the installation is not too bad. Thanks for tuning in on today's episode of my Tesla series. As I said, today I'm going to be installing a Eagle Eye tail light for my Tesla Model 3. These lights are also applicable for Tesla Model Y. If this is the first time you're tuning into my channel, my name is Shiva Sapkota. I'm an engineer out here in Colorado, USA. I make mainly Tesla videos doing detailed installation and reviews of various super cool and interesting Tesla products in this channel. If you can imagine, it takes a lot of time, energy, and resources to produce high quality videos like this. So I would really appreciate if you could support my channel in any ways you can. Mainly by just liking my videos, watching my videos, subscribing to the channel, sharing my videos, and interacting with my videos in any ways you can. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Let's get started. Today's installation is pretty cool. Let me first show you how to install these tail lights, and then I'm gonna tell you my honest review about this product, what I like about the tail lights, what I do not like about the tail light, and if I would recommend this tail light to you all for installation on your Teslas. To get started, here are a couple of things you will need. An electrical tape, fishing wire is a must, a pry tool, 8mm socket wrench, a regular wrench, and a pair of scissors. We'll start with the driver's side and follow the exact same steps for the passenger side. Reach inside your trunk and remove this plastic clip using a pry tool. This will allow you to lower the carpet. Now undo the trunk light clip by just pressing on the tip of the light connector and pulling it out. Remove the tail light connector by simply pushing down on the end of the clip and pulling out. This shouldn't require much force, so make sure you are holding down the clip while pulling the connector out. Grab a 8mm socket wrench and undo the two screws on the top and bottom. Now using a regular wrench, remove the big plastic screw cover on outside of the tail light. You can now safely remove the tail light. You just have to gently wiggle it and pull it out. Be gentle with this and take your time. The tail lights are held by two plastic pins on the left side in addition to the two metal screws. Now we can go ahead and install the new tail lights. First, insert the wires through the tail light hole, then simply push the light into its place. For easier alignment, insert the metal screws on those holes and everything will fall into place. This should fit really well and stay in place. Start with the outside plastic screw cover to secure the tail light and put the two 8mm socket screws back. Let's follow the exact same step on the right side. Next, we'll move on to the trunk tail lights. First, we need to remove the trunk plastic panel. You just have to simply pull it down on all sides and it should come right out. You have to use some force and those plastic tabs could be stubborn. Some of the plastic screws stayed in the trunk panel instead of coming off in my case. I had to manually remove those later and install them with the plastic panel. Take a small flathead screwdriver and pull the clip down on this wire connector. Now push and hold the end of the clip and pull out the connector. Next, take a 8mm socket and undo this screw that is holding the tail light. Pro tip, use a longer tool so you don't accidentally drop the knot inside the trunk. Take a plastic pry tool and pry open the side of the tail light. You might have to use some force here, but be careful to not break the light. A longer pry tool might give you more leverage. These tail lights are also held by two plastic screws on the side and one metal screw on the other side. It is now time to install the new lights. The connectors they send with the lights don't fit through the opening on those trunk lights. However, I figured out a workaround. Take a small flathead screwdriver and pry open the connector panel. You can do this with both connectors and expose the metal pins. With those connectors removed, the wire harness assembly fits through the tail light hole. Make sure all the cables are through and we are ready to secure it in place. Insert the metal screw first and then press on the side to insert the two plastic screws. Hansshow changed those plastic screws to metal screws. You'll need to apply some force, but be careful to not apply excessive force to break the tail lights. It will eventually fall into place and will look flush like Tesla's lights. Make sure to put the 8mm socket screw back on. Now you can install the connector we removed earlier to make it fit through the tail light hole. Again, follow the exact same step on the other side. After installing all 4 lights, now would be a good time to close the trunk and ensure all the tail lights are flushed and look aligned. Now for the fun part, wiring everything together. Let's walk through a quick wiring diagram I created to make your installation as easy as possible. Here we have a wiring diagram for the 4-pin connectors, which is all the Model Ys and refreshed Model 3s. This is exactly the same on both sides except for the green wire that you need on the driver's side. Let's start with the bottom left tail light. It has 2 outputs and 1 input. The main input comes from the original Tesla connector. You simply plug that in and you're good to go. Next, we have the wire harness with 4 cables that need to be connected all the way to the top tail light on the same side. Then we need to connect the green cable. Finally, the top trunk tail light has both 3-pin and 4-pin connectors. We need to connect the 4-pin connector to the main Tesla connector we removed earlier. The step is the same on passenger side. Now the wiring diagram has one added step for the 3-pin connector cars like mine. The process is the same for both sides with again just that extra green wire on the driver's side. Here we need to connect an extra Y connector that connects to the right and left side top tail lights. Another difference is that we now need to connect the main Tesla lights to the 3-pin connector. I think this will make more sense if I just show you the installation. So they send you different length cables. There are 2 black cable harnesses which are exactly the same, but one of them is longer. We'll use the longer one on the driver's side because we need to run the cable through the wire grommet and tube on the passenger side. We'll use the shorter one on the passenger side only. Then this green cable we need to connect to the driver's side. Finally, there is a Y splitter cable that is required for the 3-pin cars like mine. Let's start connecting the cables on the driver's side. First, insert the main Tesla plug into the tail light connector and press it lightly to stick in it. Now grab the longer black wire harness, connect to the tail light by sliding the male and female connectors. Next, we're going to push the green cable connector together to secure it in place. Slide the plastic cover towards the metal connection. I removed this plastic bracket from the trunk to run the cables underneath. You just have to pull up on the tab and it comes right out. Next, I removed the plastic screws that are holding the mat in place. Now simply insert the black and green cable harness through the slit here and run it towards the right side. The tail light connection on the passenger side is exactly the same as the driver's side. We don't have a green cable here though. Combine the passenger side and driver side cable and route it towards the wire grommet. Remove the cap from the wire grommet on both bottom and the top. Next, insert the freezing wire through the opening on the right side and grab it from inside the trunk. Put an electrical tape to secure the cable one at a time and run them to the other side. To make this process easier, grab a small flathead screwdriver and insert it through the slit on the zip tie that is securing the grommet tube. You can then safely undo the zip tie and be able to put it back later. Do that with both top and bottom zip ties. Now run a fishing wire through the top of the tube to the bottom. Use electrical tape to secure the connector and the cable. You need to do this one cable at a time. Secure it tightly with an electrical tape, as I actually ended up putting some WD-40 inside the tube to make the cable routing easier. This did make it slippery, so I had to use a towel to pull the cable. Once you pull all 3 cables, you can proceed with connecting them to the top lights. You do need to first run this cable one more time using the fishing cable to the trunk. I started with the passenger side. First, I connected the 3-pin connector bracket from the new tail light to the main Tesla connector. If you have a 4-pin connector car, please connect the 4-pin cable instead. Then I used the Y connector to connect the top and bottom tail lights. Moving on to the left side, it is the exact same deal. First, connect the 3 or 4-pin connectors. In my case, it's a 3-pin. Then I used the Y connector to connect the top and bottom lights. Finally, I connected the green cable. Now is the time to clean up the installation and put everything back together. It is up to you how you want to do your cable management and make it look clean. Remember, there is another plastic panel that will hide everything in the trunk panel. Speaking of which, you can start by putting that panel back on. Just align everything and push it in. Make sure to fix the wire grommet and put all the other panels removed earlier back on. Don't forget to connect the trunk lights on both sides. The installation is now complete. So this is what I think about today's upgrade. I really like how bright these taillights are compared to the original ones in my car. I also really like the bright yellow turn signals rather than just having that red line that I currently have in my Tesla where it would just blink. Now it has that very bright and visible yellow long tail light where every time I signal that is what flashes. So I definitely like that. I also like the flush and finish of this tail light. They really match and fit very nicely on my Tesla. The installation wasn't that bad, as you saw in the installation guide here. They send you everything that you need, and just, it becomes a wire routing job at the end of the day. Because installing those taillights is super easy, and then you just have to figure out a way to route all those cables to the top. They send me really long cables, which I really appreciated, because then that gives me more slack as I am routing the cables. That gives me more space, more length to work with, and I'm not trying to figure out, the shortest path to get my cable over there. I have a little bit of flexibility on that, so definitely appreciated that from Hansshow. I did have a minor issue while I was installing this light. I reached out to Hansshow and they kept in constant communication and helped me figure out my issues. They expedited an extra cable that I needed very quickly, and everything works perfectly after they fix my issue. So kudos to the customer support team at Hansshow. They provided me the detailed support, videos, guides, everything through WhatsApp. So I'm extremely satisfied with the customer service while I had this issue. Finally, the installation is more of a plug and play. They send you everything that you need, as I said, including the connectors for both 4-pin and 3-pin. So if you are not sure about if you have a 3-pin on your car or 4-pin, now Hansshow will send you that exact product, which includes both 3 and 4 pins. So it kind of creates that environment where you are not penalized for guessing what you have. I would still highly recommend you order the correct configuration from the website, but just know that the wire harness that they send has both 3 and 4 pin, making it a little bit easier and safer to install. Here are a couple of pain points and things I have to highlight in this video today. First of all, as I said, Hansshow made it super easy so that it is a plug and play solution. They didn't want you to have to worry about anything, any splicing of cables, any connectors. It was there, you just, again, plug and play. But that also creates a little bit of a problem when you are trying to route the cable, especially through the grommet for the wire that you have on the right side in the US, where you are routing through the pipe and the wire grommet that you are passing the cables through. The adapters and the cable connectors on the top, those are a little bit harder to pass through that very tight grommet that you have, the piping in Tesla Model 3. So for future, I would recommend Hansshow to have that connector separately, where you have the wires and you have the little connector pins on the top where you can route the cable first, and then when you're done, then you can put it onto the connector to finish your installation. This issue that I'm about to tell you is not so much of an issue. It is just a thing that I noticed after I installed the tail lights, and I have been told that this is only the case with older Tesla Model 3s. So all the Model Ys and the refreshed Model 3s, this problem does not exist. With the older Model 3 like mine, when you press on the brakes, both the yellow and the red light show up. It's a steady yellow and a steady red. Since it is not a blinking turn signal, it's just a steady yellow in the back, I don't think that creates any confusion, but you can't just have that red when you are braking. This happened because if you look through the older Tesla Model 3s, Tesla uses that little red strip in the middle in the tail light for both braking and turn signal. So when you're braking, that red becomes steady red, and when you are turning, or when you turn on your blinkers, it blinks, it flashes that red. Now Hansshow decided to separate those out. So having that yellow turn signal that I talked about earlier, and then having a separate brake red. But because the Tesla's computer is wired in such a way in the older Tesla Model 3s that it is the same connection that is powering both the turn signal and that brake. So I don't think Hansshow has figured out a solution yet on how to fix that. Again, it's not so much of a problem. Folks shouldn't be confused if it is steady yellow, not a blinking yellow, but that is something that I had to highlight in this video because I did notice that after the installation. Finally, when you are in reverse and if you're not pressing on brake, you're just on reverse and you are in acceleration, there is the normal white reverse light, which is normal, but there is also this red fog light that turns on while you're reversing right next to the white reverse light. So that is also something you cannot separate on the older Model 3s. The refreshed Model 3s and Model Y that I have been told by Hansshow, that is not an issue. I also wanted to highlight that Hansshow had a brand new website just for Tesla product. It's the testplus.com, and I'm going to be putting the link to the new website here in the description of the video. The new website is more of a sleek looking. The graphics are HD. You can interact with the website a little bit more. You now also have an ability to track your order, which in the older website, you order and you wouldn't know where your order is. But now you have an ability to track your order based on the order number, and you can also get rewards for making purchases in Hansshow. So the new website is pretty awesome. I highly recommend you check that website out if you are going to be purchasing any Hansshow products. My discount code Shiva Tesla still works on the new website, so please take advantage of that if you are going to purchase any products. And if the discount is invalid or if you have any issues, please contact me prior to ordering so that I can get in touch with Hansshow and fix that issue. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Turn on the notification. Share my videos with your friends and families. And please let me know your thoughts on this tail light. If you have a Tesla Model 3 or Model Y, would you consider upgrading to this tail light? If so, what do you most like about this tail light? If you do not want to upgrade, let me know what this product does not meet your expectations, or why you wouldn't want to upgrade. I am very interested in knowing your feedback so I can pass it on to Hansshow and also for future product reviews that I do in this channel. I really appreciate your continued support. I'll see you soon in my next video. Namaste.